She rose to fame as a presenter on SABC One's long-running children's program, YOTV, and then went on to star in Zabalaza, Isidingo, and followed that up with Mzansi Magic's hit show, Rockville. The Eastern Cape-born actress Khanya Mkangisa took a break recently to pursue her studies, and she's now made a comeback. Mkangisa joins us on the show to discuss her career, and she will be telling us much, much more in what I thought is a short career, but it isn't. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
And much appreciated that you could make time to be with us,
Absolutely.
Khanya. So, I say it's a short career, and it isn't. How long?
I think it's just a little over a decade because, when I
decade?
started on YOTV,
You're already talking decade now?
I was 15 and I'm 28 now.
Yeah?
Yes, so it has been a while.
It's been a while. 10 years is definitely a very long time. And to still come back for that matter, you see,
Yes.
because sometimes you get invited and then you spend 3 weeks on TV and then off you go.
Yeah.
And hopefully a few years down the line, somebody remembers you. They call you back. You last 6 weeks, you go.
Yeah.
But now to hang in there for this long is quite an achievement
And
in
I mean,
itself.
I definitely have tried to pursue other fields that I might have thought were my passion, but I'm happiest most when I'm acting or when I'm...
You're listening to the elders, I suspect. You see, you must go and do something you can fall back on.
Yes.
And I don't know why anybody would fall back on anything when you're not falling.
Right? but it's good to say that, you know what, I did listen and
Yes.
actually I'm better off doing this.
Sure, but anyway, because you did listen and you did take a break. And what did you do? You went to study? And
Yes, so I studied after I matriculated.
Yeah.
Naturally, I was like, well, I'm already on television. I'd like to take a gap year, see what else I can do. My mom was like, not a chance. If I could immediately go to varsity after high school, why can't you? So I did exactly that, and I completed a BA motion picture degree from AFDA, but I didn't major in acting like everyone else would have expected. I actually did a lot of behind the scenes. I did editing and
Yes.
vision mixing and the works.
Yeah, which is great. Now you know how it works and you
Exactly.
know the logic behind it and all of
Exactly.
that. I think it's a great idea
Thank
that
you.
you took time out to do that. But let's go back to the YOTV days, right? I can imagine so many children would love to be on television.
Yeah.
And it must be a very intimidating thing anyway for a child because you are not yet happening, you're not established, right? So you've got to audition and so on. And I think a lot of people, talented as they are, fail because of the nerves and so on and never crack it. In your case, how did you crack it?
Okay, so my audition was even worse. It was even more nerve-wracking because it was a public audition. So I'm sitting in front of my television the one day, I'm watching YOTV, and I see this promo, Spa Later Quest for Fame, you could be a YOTV presenter. And I was very shy growing up, but I was like, I'd like to do that. So I go and I audition with 3,000 other kids across the country.
That's exactly the problem. It starts right there. You say 2,999 children who probably are much more talented than I am.
Exactly.
But nevertheless...
So I go for it, and then just like how it would normally work, they cut it down to 500 to 10, and then I was the winner of the whole competition. I don't know how, but yeah.
And then you stayed in there, and I suppose the magic began to happen for you.
Yes, and then at the time, we just launched live television, which you'd think would be harder, but because we were young at the time, I think it just came more natural. Like, you didn't even think of, okay, there are cameras. It was just an extramural activity. After school, go to studio, let's have fun, let's play games.
Yeah, and as long as you're having fun, you know,
Yes.
in time, that's actually the effect that works. But as you appear there are other people watching, right? And you say, we like this kid, and we'd like her to do other things for us. Did that happen? Did you get extra work?
Well, what happened was after I was done with YOTV, I definitely wanted to tap into a bigger market in terms of acting. I've always wanted to act because the presenting jobs, I did a few other presenting jobs after YOTV and they came much easier. Acting, I auditioned, it wasn't the same. So I was like, what am I doing wrong?
Yes.
Until I actually had to understand that this is a craft. This is something you need to take serious. A lot of industry girls, there are a lot of it girls nowadays. It's just like, oh, I want to be on TV. Let's just go to an audition. Let's see how it works out. But with acting, I feel like I had to take it really seriously.
I think it's hard work, acting.
It's very difficult.
I think it's hard work. I've never tried it.
So that's what I did. I got an acting coach. I worked on it, and then the role started coming in.
Am I too old to start, you think?
Not at all. Not at all.
To
I'd
act,
cast
because-
you now. I'd cast you now.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, give me a sense of what role would you cast me in?
I would
At least just
definitely-
an easier one, so I
Not
can
something
walk it.
too far off from you. I mean,
Yeah.
you're already in a suit, so I'd maybe put you up for like a businessman type role. Yes.
But business type characters, mean-spirited people.
No, you would still be you started young, so you're not really in it for the money. You're already you're already well established. You have your money, you have your family, so you just be like a family guy who has like
the
businesses on the
reasonable
side.
guy, cool guy who's got his whole act together. Don't give me difficult roles.
No,
you know,
no.
Where
nothing
I've got
too
to
far
plot
off.
against other people and make their lives
I
difficult.
don't even think you have that in you, so I wouldn't even dare.
But that's when you're really acting now, when you
Absolutely.
can do
Absolutely.
exactly what people least expect you to
Yeah,
do.
so after you do that first role, if you feel like, oh, that was a bit easy, give me more of a challenge, then maybe I'd
What's
give
the
you.
meanest character that you know of on television or the movies? Let's see.
I don't know, it's just always any villain, and
I'm
especially
just-
a female villain, I feel like, yeah, because
those are
that's
hectic.
always unexpected.
Those are hectic.
The-
Have you ever played that kind of role?
I've actually not played a villain, but one of my most challenging roles
Yeah.
was on Rockville, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I start off as a village girl. Jane comes to Johannesburg. And then I'm here to make money to support my family. Things take a turn for the worse. I end up getting caught up in drugs. And so, yeah,
Then your character changes and so on.
changes completely and eventually, unfortunately, dies from an overdose.
And I have a lot of respect for actors, artists generally, but actors in particular, because you've got to now become somebody you're not.
Definitely.
And make it believable. And you've got to immerse yourself in that role, right? And you know, what's your own technique? How do you do it? I mean, you've been coached, obviously, over
Yes.
time to become familiar with it.
Yeah.
But when you move from one role to the other, you've got to give up yourself for
Absolutely.
that time.
Absolutely.
And become this character that you play.
Absolutely. So even if you don't necessarily like go really technical into the coaching, and I feel like for me, as long as you understand the character, when you put yourself in someone else's shoes, already you're showing empathy. So already in that, you are able to become someone else, someone who isn't you. So yes, sometimes not all of us are afforded the opportunities to maybe research, because maybe you put in a project and you have to start shooting in a week. There's not enough time. So sometimes if you just become the person, if you read the story with an understanding, then you've already done half the job.
Now here you are, you've done the fall back on story. Parents are happy.
Yes.
Now you are back to what you love
Yes.
best. It's got to be sustainable though, and it's a very challenging world.
It
We
really
know that,
is.
right?
It really is.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, a lot of people are coming in now. I also want to be an actress. I also want to be a presenter.
Yeah.
So maybe in comparison to when I did start when I was 15, now there are 1,000 or 10,000
Yes.
more kids vying
Yes.
for the same
Yes.
role.
Yeah.
So it definitely is hard. And that's why I always encourage people to go at it for the right reasons, not just to be, oh, I also want to be seen on TV, I also want to do magazine covers and shoots. No. If you actually have a true passion for telling stories, for becoming someone else, then I think you're in it for the right reasons, and it'll definitely show in your work.
It might be, I don't think it's too early. After 10 years, you've sort of paid your dues, right? And
Yes.
you've got to live by a certain approach just to sustain yourself. Because sometimes, you know, it works, you've got too many roles, and sometimes it dries up a little bit.
Yeah.
So to keep yourself together, you've
Yeah.
got to have a particular attitude to life or philosophy that you live by.
Yeah.
For you personally, how do you motivate and coach yourself?
Even for me, just something as not necessarily even motivating myself, but to answer the motivation aspect of it, I definitely always remind myself why I started. I definitely try and use the lessons I've learned, because I've had an advantage starting younger than maybe most people. So I always can put those things into consideration, and it definitely helps. And also just little practical things. I mean, if I were to advise anyone, maybe we started 3 years ago, who there will be dry spells. Once you're done with Rockville, your character died, now what? You have to go and audition some more. You don't know when you're going to book your next job. So just little things like just save your money. You don't need to necessarily splurge I mean, firstly, we don't even make that money, so there won't be any splurging. But I mean, the little you do make, I just feel like if there isn't anything lined up currently, just save your money. Or even if you are like maybe on a soap and it's long running, I don't know, you don't want
Pace
to...
yourself.
Yes, yes.
But where to now from here? I mean, obviously you've got to deal with the everyday stuff, but there is a direction, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm very blessed and grateful now that I'm on a soap, because when I was doing all the dramas, I was like, you know what, I definitely want something more sustainable, something more long-term. So when I booked Isidingo, and I've been on for just a little over a year now, I was very excited because I wanted to do something more long-term. I do still want to be on for like a couple of years, not too long, because as much as I have paid my dues and people have seen me play other roles, I do want to do this for long. So I still want to do that. On the side, outside of like the industry, I've always wanted to own my own business. So after I graduated, I worked for Destiny magazine for a year. I was doing fashion and beauty. That's something I still really like. So I'd like to still maybe tap into that world. Even if it's me having my own boutique, me being a designer, I'd definitely like to get into that space.
Well, but anyway, you're blessed because then you've got reason to be grateful working with the established stars of Isidingo, long-running, highly regarded, appreciated by bigger, broader audiences. I think you've cracked it, and then it must just continue from where it is now to even greater heights.
Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you.
Well, and everything of the best to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Khanya Mkangisa, look at her. You might think she only started 2 years or so ago. She's already paid her dues, more than a decade in the game, and now on Isidingo and continuing to grow and build her career. Love her story. And I hope you enjoyed our chat with her and enjoyed tonight's program. Until next time, good night to you.